What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 5. I should actually have that. Uh, so in this episode we did a ton of questing. It was a pretty grindy week, but not as grindy as next week is gonna be. And by next week I mean next week from when you're seeing this. So I'll talk about the quests and efficiency and stuff regarding questing in a moment. But first, I just need to go over why this video is late and that just all the stuff associated with that. So I had this video ready for Tuesday, and it is now Sunday. Probably gonna have it's now Saturday. You guys are probably not gonna see this until at least Sunday or whenever you are watching this. So this past week, I knew I felt the burn coming for just been grinding so hard the past 4 weeks, and it was finally, I knew it was catching up to me, so I needed to take some time away from the game to revitalize my urge to play efficiency, play efficiently, and all that goes with that. So I just took the week off. Basically, it was at just about to be weekly reset, and I left, and then I'm gonna come back just before weekly reset. It was a full week. Technically, maybe I should have gone on and did my weekly reset. Maybe should have done my daily stuff. But I was just way too burnt out. I was supposed to do dungeoneering this week. If I would have been doing it this entire time, I'd be done it, but there's no way I could have pushed myself for that much. Breaks aren't always a bad thing. Sometimes you're more efficient if you take a break than if you don't, surprisingly. It depends on how long the break is and all that sort of stuff. To be honest, a week was maybe a bit much. But I feel a lot better. I was playing some Minecraft and some Halo and some Destiny. Just a bunch of like arrangement of games that I just like to, relax on, or at least change things up with, because I know with Halo I'm not relaxing while I play. That is a competitive grind fest when I play that, but I only played like 10 matches, so it wasn't too bad. Yeah, so that's just a little catch up as to why this video is a little bit late. It could have been out on time, but I wanted to push it back so that the distance between this episode and the next episode isn't as much. And I ended up pushing it back maybe a little bit further than I had originally planned for all that sort of stuff. Okay, now over to what we did. So you guys can see here, why am I just standing there? How long is this clip? I guess I really wanted to talk about it. Anyways, so we got the Frost Dragon Bones and Altar done on our 9th floor of dungeoneering. That was pretty awesome. And up to this point, we just done a ton of questing. Here's Swan Song, really great quest to get out of the way. Big thing to note about what this is all for, and you may have seen me pull up the quest guide in-game during that little spiel. We're going for WoW Gothic Sleeps. So by this point, we are just about almost a month into the account, and we are trying to get progress towards Light Within primarily, which is a little bit surprising to say, because that's after Plague's End, but to me, Plague's End is not very difficult, other than, I'm gonna probably get back to this a few times, other than burning out a little bit. It's still not that difficult. All that you have to do, all that I have to suffer through really is dungeoneering. That is my biggest chance of burning out, which is why I need to get to a point where I just do all the way up to Garajo as soon as possible. And I may burn out once, like for another week between then and now. But once that's done, I get to have so much fun. Like literally, I didn't want to do dungeoneering, so I went and mined to like 74 mining, and I was gonna go to 75, but then I was just like, I should just take a break. I'm like, this is good for, like, mining is great for other times. I shouldn't be doing this right now. Just especially in case quests and all that, our experience comes into play. So just hold off on it. Summoning, also a big one, needing granite. Yeah, so that was basically how what the plan was while Gothic sleeps, to work towards the light within. In case you guys are wondering how that sort of fits in, you need the light within requires 80 herb lore. And while Gothic sleeps gives you a hefty amount of experience that you can throw into herb lore. You'll see what level we end up getting to at the end of this episode. But now comes efficiency corner. And by efficiency corner, I mean my best analysis of how to be efficient while questing. So, when it comes to questing, you have to consider, first off, on a brand new account, what skills can you get experience in from level 1? From no experience in the skill, what can you do to get experience? So to start off, you have quests like the Night Sword, you have quests like Sea Slug, you have quests like Fight Arena, and Waterfall, and I'm trying to look at others, just Monk's Friend. These are all such great quests early game because you just skip over like a few hours of grinding, and pointless grinding at that. I definitely made some mistakes on this account with my early questing, primarily with the Night Sword. I did not realize that the Catacomb monsters dropped iron bars. I still have yet to do Blood Pact because I didn't realize that. I would have done it day 1, day 2 if I had realized that, and I just didn't realize it. So it's important to like look at the wiki and look at the list of all the quests and which quests you can do for experience right away. There's a nice page, I believe, called Quest Experience Rewards or Quest Reward Experience, something like that. And it just lists out the reward experience from every single quest, ordered by skill. And if you can, if it's multiple skills, like Welcome to Sleeps, for example, is just a lamp that you can throw into any skill, level 65 or higher. You have all those options there. So that's sort of the most important thing to think about during this, is how to start an account. Because after that, it's surprising how little your questing order matters. Like, obviously, there's stuff that you're gonna do before other stuff. I've seen people do Wild Gothic Sleeps and then branches. I did branches and Wild Gothic Sleeps. For me, it made more sense because of the herb lore experience and because of the farming and the fletching and just all that bonus experience from branches. And I knew I could get all my levels in 4 branches in before Wild Gothic Sleeps very easily. So it made more sense, in my opinion. But you can really route yourself in different directions, and depending on the direction you route yourself, it's more efficient to do different questing routes. Obviously, there's going to be a most efficient way, or maybe a few ties. But when it comes down to it, with efficiency, you're counting time. So odds are there's a most efficient way. There's going to be some that are really, really close, but there's going to be a most efficient way. The hard thing about figuring out your efficiency with questing, though, is randomness. So you look at like Desert Treasure, and you have to get the lockpicks. When I was actually doing Desert Treasure, as you guys can see, I would have already done it at this point. I don't know when the clip came up, but because this is RFD, and you have to have Desert Treasure done before RFD. I had to end up getting more lockpicks twice, and then I ended up resorting to doing hair clips. Hair clips, by the way, I don't know if this was lucky or I had it coming to me because of how unlucky I was on lockpicks. Uh, I just did an inventory of hair clips, and I think they're better in general. So maybe just going and getting an inventory of lockpicks after Holy Grail is a great way to do Desert Treasure, assuming you have the levels for Holy Grail at that point. Otherwise, just daily you can buy. Well, you do more than daily, but just go and buy 20 or so lockpicks from both the Thieves Guild and the Rogues Den, assuming you have all the mini quests required from the Thieves Guild to go and do that. If you don't have them all, then just Rogues Den is really easy. 50 agility, 50 thieving, and 10 every. I don't know how fast they refresh, maybe an hour or something like that. But pretty easy. Yeah. So it's really big to realize that your early game routing is actually way more important than your late game routing. Because in the end, yes, you're only saving a few hours, but those hours are, I don't know how to put it. They're somewhat the most important because they set you up. Another thing to pay attention to with that, though, is it will matter. Your endgame questing, it matters more if you do your questing. So if you don't do it, you're being inefficient because you're letting XP go to waste. Often, big chunks of XP, because you think about stuff later game, like Sasuke's endgame. There's 1.2 million experience that you can do in probably, if you're prepared, like 3 hours. Especially now with the guides. I remember I did it day 1 without a guide. It took me about 5 hours. If I had a guide, I think I could do it in about 3 to 4, which means you have experience that can go into a skill equating to roughly, 300k experience an hour. That's the sort of stuff you gotta look at with questing. You just saved yourself so much time. If you throw it in something like Herblore, which when you actually average out Herblore over the amount of time it takes you to get the supplies to do stuff, it's such minimal XP per hour. It's so bad. Odds are that you saved the time because you're doing combat and you're doing Slayer and all that. But realistically, it's still taking time up. Now, there are quests, on the other hand, which are completely a waste of time. And they're only there for either quest points or quest cape or whatever, and they technically shouldn't even be done when playing efficiently unless you really, really want that full quest cape. For example, just like right off the top of my head, Let Them Eat Pie. I did this one sort of late in this grind for quest points, because I need just some spare quest points. But if I didn't need it for quest points and I'd left it this long already, you don't need the expensive spices like that. No one's using that in this. Like the last time I heard that being used effectively was in Darkscape. That's about it. So you don't really need that, and it is not a requirement for any other quest as far as I'm aware. I can double check, but I don't believe it is. So it's just a skill that you do not need. And I'm trying to think of another one, just to add it to the list. The Mazcap, I forget what it's called. Lost Ancestor, not Lost Ancestor. Call of the Ancestors. I'm trying to think of that. I forget what the reward for that is. I know you get the refresh skip ticket stuff, whatever. So I don't know. I forgot what they're called. The reroll ticket tokens. Yeah. But other than that, I can't think of anything good. Let Them Eat Pie doesn't have any post quest, other quests that it unlocks or anything either. So yeah, you don't really need it. I'll check the Call of the Ancestors. But yeah, there's all these quests that are pointless, and you don't really need to do. But to an extent, you should. It's not horrible to do, and 1k magic lamp. I should have done that earlier, but you require level 10 magic. I don't know. It's sort of pointless if you require Level 10 magic for a 1k magic lamp. Yeah, another one that you probably wouldn't actually need to do, but it's there. We're definitely going to be getting a Questcape pretty early on the account, guys. I'm actually excited to get back in the game. Actually, for me, it'll be 2 days from now. Tomorrow, I'm actually pretty busy. I sort of want to get in the game tomorrow. I don't really want to right tonight. I'm going to talk to some people on Xbox and see what I can do over there before getting back on. But on Monday will be when I'm really excited. So I think we've gone over efficiency in questing. You know, early game is what matters, and after that, it just matters that you do quests. I think is like what it boils down to for questing. I don't know if we're gonna we might have another talk when I finish the grinding for Questcape. We still have another 70 quests or so 70 to 80 quests left in the game. We have done over 120, I want to say. I'll actually get the real numbers. But yeah, we are quite a ways through this. It was quite a grind this week, or not this week. Well, the week you're seeing, and you know it's nice having a break after going through a grind like that. We might talk about questing later. Okay, so we've done 153 quests so far, and we have 79 left to complete. Of those 79, I'm trying to think of how many I could actually have the recs for, like the requirements for, not including, I guess, like, levels. Like, sorry, just based on levels. Yeah, there's no real good way of checking. But we're quite a ways through. Yeah. So back into what we are seeing here, finishing up Morning's End Part 1. And then I did actually something pretty fun for Morning's End Part 2. I actually brought 33 items with me to fetch the talisman. So my first trip was 33 items, and my second trip was 17 items. The way you do this is you can actually exit through the back cavern. I don't know if you have to exit through and then come back through, but I did that just to be safe. But then I could just enter back through the back cavern, go through the underground pass for that, and I handed in 28 items, and then I took off another, what was that, 5 I was building? 1, 2, 3, 6. 6 that I was wearing and handed those in. Sorry, 27 and then 6, because, of course, the list of items. And then I went back, got 17, got everything I needed to finish the quest right away. And yeah, we finished that up. I'm hoping for the soul talisman to come into the game soon so I can start doing daily nats. Because I'm always running low on nature ruins, and they're pretty expensive to buy. Especially when I spend already like $1 a day on my daily buys. Which, by the way, guys, read the patch notes for Monday. Cannot wait for those daily shop runs to become daily shop runs. There's still a lot of shops that are not going to be reset on that interval, but you know, it's not the end of the world. And one thing I'm realizing right now off the top of my head is I really screwed up by not making sure I had enough money in Kingdom. So yeah, Kingdom might have been screwed over for the past week. I don't know how much I had in there. Oh well, it was my week off, so I'm not even going to care too much. But here it is, guys. We finally got all the requirements, all 270 quest points, and all of the levels, and all the other quests, and everything else to do while Gothic sleeps. It was such a grind, to be completely honest with you. I don't mind questing, but it is definitely, I know people say they don't like questing. I get why. There's a bunch of quests that I don't really enjoy doing. And yeah, but when it comes down to it, when you get to do something as awesome as finishing While Gothic Sleeps on I believe this was day 32 of the account, it makes it so worth it. So does taking a break after doing that, but it makes it just so worth it, guys. I highly, highly recommend you guys to all do your questing if you've been skimping on it. I know a lot of people who skimped on their questing. Some people who either were scared of dying because they're a hardcore Ironman, and then others. I know people who just skimped on questing overall, and there's the hardcore thing, sort of a reason. This is not a dangerous quest whatsoever. You enter a quote-unquote wilderness during it, which is an instanced area, which I think the only way you could get killed is if someone else is doing Wild Gothic Sleeps on the same world as you at the same time. Otherwise, I think it's completely instanced, to be honest with you. The wilderness, I do not believe it's dangerous whatsoever. The boss definitely isn't dangerous. You guys can see at my level what I was doing there. But yeah, then I decided to finish up the week. I'd go and get myself my dragon pickaxe because, I just went through all that grind. Let's avoid dungeoneering even more and go through this grind. So at this point, I'd killed about 500 chaos dwarves. Well, about 600 actually. I started counting. I had to fix my looting settings to count my bones properly. So we're probably about 150 kills past what my bone counter there is. So probably about 650-ish kills at this point. And yeah, no luck so far, but we've been gaining some pretty good experience here. It's not bad. I'm just hoping, like, at this point, I'm just hoping, like, maybe I'll get it soonish, I don't really know, like, it's a 1 in 5k drop. And, which, by the way, guys, people think that it's inefficient to get a dragon pickaxe. I forget, I did the math recently on, whose video was it? Mr. Adelaide RS. I was just annoyed. I watch it. I find him a little bit slow, no offense, just to watch. But I was so annoyed. And by the way, Starved Ancient Effigy, that really sucked. I was annoyed because he thought that it would be inefficient to get a dragon pickaxe. There's mine right there. But it saves you so much time because when you make it crystal, it's a 30% increase roughly to your mining speed. So it's so worth it. And people just think it takes too long to get, but it only takes maybe 10 hours to get, even if you don't have some of the quests done. Maybe 10 hours at most. It took me, I think, 5 or 6. 10 hours for the 30% increase is always worth it. I'd go over the math, but I don't have time. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.